always thought my life would continue to be beautiful until everything started to fall apart. What began as simple conversations turned into endless battles. I used to have friends, a career, a family, but now all I have left is an inescapable loneliness. Did I really make everything this bad? And can the love between us still be salvaged? I never imagined I would feel this way. I used to be a happy, optimistic person, always finding joy in every situation. But now, my life has changed. 2 years ago, I went through a major event in my life. A big argument and the breakup of my close friend group. That relationship wasn't just friendship. It was family, the place where I always found comfort and support during tough times. But when that group fell apart, I felt abandoned, like I had no one to rely on. At that time, I didn't know what to do. I only knew that I was losing an important part of my life. Even though I tried to forget, the feeling of loneliness never left me. Every time I saw other people with their friends, laughing and spending time together, I felt like I was on the outside, looking in. And even when I talked to my family or my husband, I couldn't shake that emptiness. I shared my thoughts with my husband, told him about my loneliness, and things I had never dared to express before. But in response, I only received silence or empty words. He didn't understand, or maybe he just didn't want to understand. Then, about 5 months ago, a new opportunity came. We moved to San Diego for his job. It was a new city, a new life, but I felt lonelier than ever. When we arrived here, I had no friends, no relationships to rely on. All I had was work and family. However, work wasn't easy for me. The new challenges, the pressure, everything seemed to pile up on me. Even though I love technology and work in the AI field, I couldn't deny that the job here was incredibly stressful. Every day I faced new challenges and fatigue, and I had no one to talk to. This stress gradually made me feel like I was falling into a depression that I couldn't escape from. I told my husband about the discomfort and exhaustion I was feeling at work, hoping he would listen and give me some advice. But every time I shared, he reacted indifferently. He couldn't understand the stress I was going through. He said, "I don't know what it's like to work there. All I wanted was some comfort, a hug, or just a simple phrase like, 'You'll be okay.' But I received nothing but indifference. Living in a new city with no close friends around made my loneliness even worse. The absence of friends, family, and meaningful connections only made me feel trapped. And when everything became too overwhelming, I realized that I wasn't just socially lonely, I was lonely even in my own home. That day, I just wanted to seek a bit of understanding from my husband. After a long, stressful day at work, I felt like I was about to collapse. Work problems kept piling up, and I couldn't find an escape. When he called me after work, I just needed a word of comfort, a simple question like, "Are you okay?" or at least some encouragement. Instead, I started telling him about the work issues, hoping he would understand and share in some of the burden. I thought he would listen, at least offer me some support, but he remained silent, saying nothing. The more I spoke, the less he reacted. Even when I asked, "What should I do to fix this situation?" he responded indifferently, "I don't know, I don't work there." Those words felt like a cold splash of water. I had already felt lonely and lacking in empathy for a long time, but now that feeling was clearer than ever. I just wanted him to understand that, even though he doesn't do my job, at least he could share in this feeling with me. But it seemed like he could never grasp the worries I was carrying. And I felt like I was standing alone, with all my sadness and anxiety weighing heavily on my heart. Trying to change the mood, I switched the subject, hoping the conversation would become lighter. But when I got home, he told me something I couldn't understand. "Tonight, you can only say positive things." I didn't know why he made this request. How could I only speak positively when the exhaustion, disappointment, and loneliness were overwhelming me? But I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I just silently accepted it. A little while later, we began debating a topic I thought wouldn't cause conflict: AI. I work in this field, so I'm quite familiar with the trends in technology. But when I shared my perspective, he suddenly became angry, shouting that I didn't know anything and needed to read more books to understand the issue. I was shocked and frustrated. How could he deny the knowledge I had when my job is literally to research and develop AI? I opened my laptop to prove I knew what I was talking about, but he continued yelling, calling me a miserable, insufferable, pretentious person. It felt like everything inside me was falling apart. His words not only hurt me, but seemed to confirm everything I had feared about myself. I felt worthless, useless, as if all my efforts and work had been invalidated. But the most painful thing was his coldness and indifference. When I asked him to apologize, he coldly replied, "No, that's how I truly feel." He refused to apologize, even though all I wanted was for him to understand that his words had hurt me deeply. Despite trying to hold back, my tears wouldn't stop. I just wanted him to understand and say sorry to ease the pain. But he just stood there, silent, offering no comfort or support. His silence felt like a deep wound in my heart. When I saw that he still refused to apologize, I felt as though I'd been left alone in a vast, endless ocean with no one to hold on to. At that moment, all my worries and pain erupted like a violent wave. I couldn't hold back my emotions any longer, and I started sobbing uncontrollably, unable to control myself. The tears kept flowing, as if they had been building up for so long. His words from earlier echoed in my head, miserable, insufferable, pretentious, like a knife cutting deep into my heart. I felt like a complete failure. Every word he said felt like a confirmation of what I had thought about myself for the past 2 years. I had felt useless and unworthy, and now the person I loved and was closest to saw me the same way. I couldn't escape the feeling that I was truly a terrible person, unworthy of love, unworthy of respect. When I asked him to apologize, he coldly refused, saying that it was his true feeling and that he couldn't pretend nothing had happened. That just hurt me more. He didn't understand, or maybe he didn't want to understand, that I didn't need him to pretend. I just needed an apology, an acknowledgement that his words had hurt me. But he stood there as if I no longer existed in his mind, and I, with no one else to turn to, could only cry silently by myself. In utter despair, I called my parents. I didn't know what else to do. I had no one else to share my thoughts and emotions with. They listened as I cried and asked me why this was happening, and I told them everything that had occurred. My mom said that he didn't mean it, that he just didn't know how to express his emotions properly. But how could I believe that when his words still echoed in me like an indelible scar? When the call ended, I felt a little relief, but at the same time, the worry about my marriage resurfaced. My husband wasn't just indifferent, but he seemed to no longer care about my feelings. Looking back, I realized that all this time, I had tried so hard to maintain everything, but I had forgotten about myself. Now, I didn't know if there was anything left to save, and whether I could continue living in a marriage where I no longer felt loved or respected. The feeling of loneliness washed over me again, but this time, I wasn't just lonely because of the lack of friends, but also because of my own partner. The next morning, I woke up feeling empty. Everything was silent. No apology, no comforting gesture. He still hadn't said anything to me since last night. When I tried to approach him, he kept his distance, refusing to look me in the eye. At that moment, I didn't just feel lonely, but also confused. Did I do something wrong? Did I do something to make him not want to talk to me anymore? Or have we really fallen out of love? I sat down, holding my head in my hands, feeling like everything was falling apart right before my eyes. My heart tightened as I thought about the future, and I couldn't stop fearing what was to come. 1 year isn't a long time, but it's enough for us to create memories, trust, and dreams. But now, those memories were becoming faded marks, no longer something we could hold on to. I didn't know if we could go back to how we were before, or if our love was strong enough to overcome these challenges. The more I thought, the more I felt like I was losing myself. Since we moved to San Diego, I had neglected so many things, focusing solely on work and our marriage. I no longer took time for myself. I didn't keep up with my friendships, and now I had no one to share my feelings with. My emotions had been bottled up for so long, and now they were like a huge wave, rising stronger with every passing moment. I felt like a deflated balloon, drained of energy, with no motivation to keep going. Feelings of regret began to rise, making me wonder if I was the one who had created these problems in our marriage. Had I been too weak by not being able to overcome these struggles on my own? Had I not been strong enough to protect myself and our family? Each question made me feel more helpless, and I couldn't find the answers. But still, I loved him, and that made it impossible for me to stop thinking about everything that had happened. Could we make it through this storm? I didn't know, but a part of me still hoped things would be okay. A part of me still hoped he would realize that I never meant to hurt him, that all I wanted was understanding and support from him. I even thought about talking to him again, opening up one more time, though I knew it wouldn't be easy. Did he still care about me? Could we go back to the way we were, when it was just the two of us and nothing but love? These questions kept swirling in my mind, and all I could do was wait, hoping he would realize what I was feeling, hoping that we could start over from the beginning.